We rely on mods to fix broken games, but now we've got to be weary of a new threat: the platforms that host said mods. Welcome back to OtakuDaiKun, Dai here. Today we're going to talk about modding video games. Specifically, I'll be commenting on a recent Fire Emblem mod that's being censored, a concept that seems ass backwards if you understand anything about mods. In general, mods give power to the player to control how they play a game. It allows a game's community to create unique experiences that the devs didn't provide, or intentionally tried to keep from you. They're a breath of fresh air, considering games and the internet haven't always had the best relationship. Back in the day, devs only had one chance to release their game physically. If they shipped a broken game, it was forever known as a broken game. Now, thanks to online updates, those devs can patch and redeem otherwise faulty experiences. Sadly, it's also incentivized devs to perform less testing, confident that they can fix any glitches after launch. DLC has given the devs opportunity to expand on games, giving players more options and content while keeping staff employed between development cycles. At the same time, DLC has been used as a tool for devs to lock away content that should have been in the main release, keeping it hostage behind an extra paywall. It's that kind of thing that modding has helped fight against. If you wish characters were dressed differently and the devs didn't give you enough options, mods have your back. Create your own cosmetic DLC. You might find this kind of thing disrespectful to a creator's vision, but this isn't at all the same thing as fixing someone's artwork. Think of it more like buying a toy and choosing to play with it in an innovative way. Mods are a lot like building Legos while ignoring the instruction manual. Anyone against this notion would also have to be against things like speedrunning, at least the speedruns that exploit major glitches. Clearly, Nintendo never intended for players in Ocarina of Time to wrong warp to the credits, but such tactics breathe new life into older games. If you've ever used a Game Shark or a Game Genie, it's the same idea. You're having fun with a product that you purchased, and that doesn't inherently disrespect the creators, especially if you're still supporting and enjoying that product. Hell, in some cases, modders care more about a game than its own publisher. Mods can fix game-breaking glitches that the devs ignored. They can also be used to optimize a game's performance, uncapping resolution and frame rate restrictions. Mods are also capable of creating definitive versions of games. The patches of Fate Stay Night, for instance, allow players to combine all the new features and voice work of Rialta Nua while preserving the adult content that was cut out when the novel made its way to PS2. As of right now, no official release of the novel provides that experience. Same goes for the retro Sonic games. There are amazing fan patches that bring those classics to life with tons of quality-of-life features and customization options. It puts Sega's current release of those games to shame, especially when you realize that they were too stingy to pay for the rights to the songs produced by Michael Jackson's team, mainly Brad Buxer. Iconic tracks that have endured the ages are suddenly not present in the official definitive release? Hell no! Let mods fix that. By and large, my favorite kinds of mods are those that restore a game to its rightful form after it's been censored. Fairy Tales RPG, for instance, released a day one patch to put shadows under skirts, despite promising not to censor the game in any way. They falsely advertised their product, deceiving eager customers, so of course we count on modders to go in and rectify the issue. We're sick and tired of being told what we can or can't enjoy, and mods help us express what we really want. That leads me to today's topic, the Uncensor mod for Fire Emblem Engage. If you enjoy this content, be sure to like, comment, share, and smash that subscription bell as if it were your waifu. Consider supporting the channel through a YouTube membership, signing up to Subscribestar, or Patreon. All three platforms offer the same perks, such as early access and exclusive content like my Lessons in Magecraft series. Without further ado, let's dive into the main issue. I already made a video covering in depth how localizers totally butchered the Western release of Fire Emblem Engage. Even though the game maintains its Japanese voice acting, its subtitles are woefully inaccurate, changing all sorts of things from romantic undertones, references to weight gain, and even a guy who enjoys watching women from afar. These aren't a matter of translation, as fans have already posted what the lines should say. Rather, the localizers at Nintendo Treehouse stepped in and altered any dialogue they found politically incorrect. Despite fan translations often taking forever to complete, a user on Vera's Hangout uploaded a patch that replaces Treehouse's awful localization with a more accurate translation of the original text. Chris1010 is still working on this patch, but in its current state, it fixes the most critical changes pointed out online. In a sense, they're doing Nintendo's job for free, and so they really are doing God's work here. Problem is, two different mod hosting websites, GameBanana and Loverslab, have either outright banned this mod or demanded it be revised by the author in order to stay online. Specifically, these sites take issue with the fact that Anna and Jean, the game's two youngest characters, appear to have romantic dialogue with the player in Japanese. Because of this, if you download this mod from GameBanana, you'll find that Anna and Jean's support conversations are no longer patched, while everything else is. In other words, a patch meant to uncensor the game is being censored by the sites that host it. Moderators on GameBanana have cited this change under Rule 13 of their terms and conditions, which, if you bother to look it up, is a rule that just says, our moderators can do whatever the hell they want without question, and you have to deal with it. As some have noted, what's the point of even having rules in the first place if you're gonna play the Gilgamesh card and declare yourself to be the rules? Naturally, regular users on GameBanana have contested this decision, only to have their complaints deleted and replies locked. We have screenshots showing the negative reactions, and how they're doing damage control by hiding those, in favor of positive reactions. While I do intend to go over the moderator's stated reasoning, it's important to realize they'll use any logic to make themselves look good. With their bland PR speech, I suspect we can't trust them at face value. So how did this come to pass? Why are GameBanana's moderators doing this? I have three somewhat connected theories. The obvious one is that these moderators believe they're being morally righteous, taking pride in denying players an experience they deem inappropriate. Admittedly, this is a screwed-up notion, considering the site hosts all manner of risque content, including furry porn of all things. Why draw the line here at innocuous text patches when there are far more controversial mods already online? As some have pointed out on Twitter, Fire Emblem Engage has Japanese voice acting, meaning that even if you use the butchered localization text, the characters are still technically saying what moderators have deemed impure. By that logic, if the Japanese version were really that offensive, Nintendo wouldn't have released it with dual audio to begin with. That's because the lines with Jean and Anna aren't remotely harmful. It's an adorable exchange, in which Anna merely says she wants to introduce the player to her family as a special someone. The claim that this is a romantic relationship with a child is beyond false. Do you really think people were hoping to buy Fire Emblem Engage so they could date a 12-year-old? Anyone wanting to get off on that would be severely disappointed, Japanese or otherwise. It's just as bland and boring as the rest of the game's S-rank supports. In other words, any players expecting this game to have a compelling romance arc with any of the characters are going to be let down. Hypocritically, a representative from Loverslab even admits that loli characters are not inherently sexual. If that's the case, they should be able to realize that Anna being cute, possibly having a crush on the protagonist, isn't some hillbilly hurrah to start fornicating. There's a lot more to love than romance or sexuality, and it seems these moderators don't have a clue about nuance. Now, if it's not the moderators themselves championing this censorship, then perhaps it's their advertisers. GameBanana runs banner ads like most sites, and it's possible that some of those advertisers are threatening to pull their ads unless the moderators comply with certain content restrictions. Just like with YouTube, the proper solution would be to find advertisers with a spine who don't mind featuring on controversial content. But if we assume GameBanana is too greedy for that, then it's quite possible these moderators are either caving to demands or preemptively censoring this stuff based on what they think the advertisers want. If we really want to put on our tinfoil hats, then we can also question whether Nintendo of America is behind this drama. We all know that Nintendo hates fan-made content and has gone out of its way to threaten creators with cease and desist letters. Perhaps Nintendo is butthurt that the fans don't like their crappy localized garbage and are desperate to deny us a proper release. While I don't think this is beneath Nintendo in the slightest, I'm skeptical of their involvement because if they really had control over sites like GameBanana, they'd probably demand the mod's removal entirely rather than just a piece of it. Still, it's a thought worth keeping in the back of your mind, as Nintendo definitely has a motive to control the narrative on this matter. Personally, I chalk all this up to the staff at GameBanana invoking their woke or puritanical values to virtue signal. That said, let's look at what they actually declared regarding the matter. They start off saying that they're respecting the wishes of the developers who decided not to depict Anna and Jean's romances. The infuriating part about this that many have already pointed out is that localizers are not developers. At the very least, they don't deserve to be referred to as such. To defend the way Nintendo of America localized this game is to immediately disrespect the original Japanese creators. Those guys in Japan are the real developers, and if anyone should be respected, it should be them. Not only are localizers not proper devs, but GameBanana's logic is hypocritical when you look at the other sorts of mods that exist on their platform. The Persona games are the best example. Perhaps you've heard of the Trans Naoto mod from Persona 4. Rather than a proper translation of the Japanese text, this mod is essentially the author's personal headcanon that Naoto is transgender, and that she should admit as such throughout the game. It also removes any scenes or outfits that represent Naoto in a feminine light. In this case, the mod goes against both the Japanese original and the text that Atlus released with the game on its multiple iterations of Persona 4 and Persona 4 Golden. While I find this mod cringy as hell, I can't exactly complain about its existence for those who want to use it. I'm just bringing it up to show how being faithful to the developers isn't an adequate excuse. Persona 5 also has a no adult romance mod on their site, which does exactly as you'd expect, altering dialogue and player agency so that the adult confidants in the game remain exclusively platonic. Since these adult romance options are a feature of the game in all regions, removing or changing them would be seen as disrespectful to Atlus. So yeah, don't let them get on the moral high horse. It's not about the original, it's about the narrative GameBanana wants to spread. Going back to their statement, they continue to insist that they want to stick with the decisions of the developers of the US release. They state that Nintendo of America wanted to keep the romance dialogue away from Western audiences, and that the mod in question goes against those wishes. Duh, of course that's what Nintendo of America wanted. The issue is that GameBanana is suddenly choosing to side with the localizers when they should have no incentive to do so. It really does feel like someone at their side is in cahoots with Nintendo. Maybe not in an official capacity, but enough to have a clear bias in the matter. This is supported by another GameBanana moderator, who tries to lecture angry fans about the spirit of localization, as if that should have anything to do with the modding community. I wouldn't be surprised if people like this are just butthurt that localizers are getting called out on their bullshit, and as a moderator of this site, they're exercising an element of power to retaliate. While we're at it, this moderator states that localizers are not disrespecting the Japanese, because it's the Japanese that hire them. No claim has ever been further from the truth. Sadly, Nintendo of America isn't just some third-party company that the Japanese hire out. It's a core part of Nintendo's foolish attempt to appeal to a global audience. In that regard, it's amazing that Treehouse didn't censor the game at its source, though I'm sure they tried. Also, many Japanese creators are woefully unprepared to realize just how much overseas fans hate localization, nor do they always get involved enough to find out exactly what was changed overseas. Even if a Japanese creator approves of the changes, that doesn't mean they weren't pressured into doing so. This dude also cites different laws and morals between the East and West, and maybe this would hold some water if Fire Emblem Engage had a hot coffee minigame with Anna, but this is literally just a kid having a crush. If there were something illegal here, the game itself would be in trouble for leaving in the Japanese audio. As such, this claim is about as flimsy as those people on Twitter who equate loli to CP and then go on to repost loli stuff without realizing the irony. As for Loverslab, I did a bit of searching and found content with a very childlike Little Red Riding Hood getting it on with the big bad wolf. So yeah, hypocritical as fuck. We've reached a point where mods, one of the few ways we have to fight censorship, are themselves getting censored. The obvious solution here is to stop using GameBanana or Loverslab if you can help it. Do whatever you can not to give these sites traffic. If you're on the modding side, while I won't blame you for still choosing GameBanana for its popularity, I encourage you to upload to other platforms as well, so that fans have options on where to obtain your work. At the very least, spread this video, as well as the news it pertains to, so that we can drag sites like GameBanana through the mud for selling out to the Western corpos they should be subverting. Regarding this whole mess, what do you guys think? Let me hear your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching!
If you enjoy this channel, help us grow by liking, commenting, sharing the video, subscribing to OtakuDaiKun, and
most of all, smashing that notification bell so you don't miss out on all of our anime discussion, lore, or Let's Play content.
You can support us directly through Patreon, Subscribestar, or our YouTube membership, all of which come with benefits like exclusive vids and early access.
As always,
celebrate your fandom!
I want to give a special shout out to all my $10 and up supporters: Video Gamer 75, Elise Trash for Skinko, Stephen Elak, Samuel Gersten, The Nonchalant Ostrich, Otaku Mom, Jens Ballman, Mystic Samurai 1983, Olympian Doll, Lord Omagoden, Freebrick, RNG or Shuffles 1498, Alexis Yukio Gomez Yamato, Link Pendrago, King Kobo, Observer Bellis, Flash Daniel, James Hewitt, Uncanny EXP, Matthew McAfee, Game King 352, Caitlin P, Vladimirovna, Jonathan Badua, The Taz 96, President Irina Vladimirovna Putina, Maxwell's Demon, Kengo X77, SF Giants Fan Mike, and Akakaze Yume. Thank you all so much.